Hello, hello, hello. I have something kind of sweet today. I played a few games with the recent sort of bounce house RP that I've been playing. You know, kind of the Tremaine with the Soul Fox package and the Merlins and whatever. And I was running into a lot of mirrors, and I was not having the best success. Honestly, I lost a few games here if we take a look, mostly to the mirrors. We win some games, you lose some games. That'll happen from time to time. We lost to a flute or whatever. But they had some interesting cards, and I talked to the player, and they shared their deck list with me, and it seems pretty sweet. Let me bring it back up here. So I'm calling it Ursula's Bounce House. Since it opts to play 4 copies of Ursula Power Hungry from Chapter 1. This was a bit of a staple on and off between this and Elsa in the OG sort of RP control decks. And it actually played pretty well against me. It ended up being this like really difficult to deal with threat. They're running 8 1-drops, so oftentimes they had some random dork in play, plus the Ursula. So there wasn't a lot of room for something like Tremaine to actually clean it up, so you kind of had to be prepared, or use your most diabolical scheme to actually get it off the board. And they just had more copies. I was expecting like 1 or 2, we went out of our way to use our removal spells on them, and they just kept playing them. Sometimes even bouncing them back with the snakes and the foxes to replay them and sort of grind out the lore game that way, because it does drain you for lore as well as giving them a card. So it just gives them the full copies of the Maleficent Sorceress, the Power Hungry, the Rabbits. They just have a ton of draw, even more so than the normal deck. And it's a little bit better on the inkable count because it cuts the Tremaine package and only really adds in the Ursula Power Hungries and a few Dragon Fires to sort of add more removal back in. Notably, there's not a lot of other lower cost tech for the mirror. It is relying more on Ursula and just being a little bit bigger than what your opponents are doing to sort of clean that up. So I wanted to give this a try today, and let's just get into some games. I'm always looking for something that is good against the mirrors. Ursula is also very good against steel, given that it is a 2/8 and it is very difficult for them to remove. So being able to quest for more than the one is really nice. So we'll see how a couple of games go. Before we make any adjustments, we're just going to run it as is. I think the only spot that there's really a huge amount of room to play is probably the Dragonfire slot. And maybe one of the copies of like Maui or Maleficent Dragon, something like that could be adjusted too. So this deck does rely a lot on hitting a 1-drop early to make sure that you have something to work with. I think we'll get rid of Be Prepared. I don't necessarily think that we need the Diabolical Scheme here. We'll keep the Mini, the Teeth and Ambitions, and the 2 Foxes, and I think the rest of this is pretty good. Probably wasn't looking to draw just 2 more rabbits. It's fine. We'll get rid of 1 fox, and we will play out the Minnie Mouse, just in case we need to use the teeth, but likely this is going to end up in the Inkwell. The fox might as well, though we can always play the fox on 3 and then put the Minnie into the Inkwell too. In general, I think that you would want to keep the rabbit most of the time. At least 1. Past the first one, kind of hard to say. Yeah, so let's get rid of teeth here. Go ahead and get them. They go. Not the best draw I've ever seen, but we do have a lot of rabbits, so we can turn it into something else eventually. So we are playing it steel here. Looks like this is the discard deck, so honestly our hand is pretty good for what the discard deck generally is trying to do. Since we can just keep playing rabbits until we're flush with cards, I think it'll be fine. I'm going to run out the Mim here, so we can bounce the Mini back, so we're guaranteed an Inkable next turn. I think my plan is just going to be to play rabbits until we're tired of playing rabbits. Alright, we'll ink this over the mini here. Play out a rabbit. Draw a card. Attack with our min. Say go. Likely going to discard this Dragonfire. Not too worried about Jafar here. I have been seeing more of this sort of list popping up, which I think is kind of an interesting selection of cards here. I think I will use the friends on the other side to draw more cards. It doesn't really matter. Go ahead and do that. We'll get rid of the Minnie Mouse here. I'm fine if they Jafar in here. Just go ahead and attack. Why am I testing Ursula? So, I fought against this deck a bit. It seems very strong in the mirror. And a card like this closes out the game very quickly. And it was a way to sort of claw back some percentages in the matchups where I think the deck can kind of struggle a little bit. Like, it is very good in the mirror, and it's very good against a lot of the steel decks. Both of which I had been struggling a little bit with as far as decks that this doesn't always beat. Which gave me some consideration to at least think about it, right? I think we can bin one of the Ursulas, given that we're looking on 2 turns probably just to play Be Prepared. Given the way that our hand is set up, we're kind of just going to play out rabbits. Do I want to bounce a rabbit to my hand? I'd like to remove this Jafar for sure. Let's play a rabbit. Let's bash here. Draw another card. And then let's play this out. And bounce the rabbit here. And then we'll just bash. Yeah, it's interesting. So, Tremaine is a very strong card, and it still is a really strong card, but it's one of those things where when the meta is really rife with the same type of card, right? So in this case, like, Tremaine is kind of everywhere. It's in the Popsicle deck, it's in this deck, it's in pretty much all the flavors of Ruby right now. And when you have a card that is just pretty well all over the place in the metagame, you kind of need some alternative because they're expecting that. So they're playing around it. They're playing more 1-drops along with their other things. Oh my god, this is just so annoying. Okay. I need to make sure that we have an inkable, so I have to keep the friends on the other side. I guess I am going to get rid of a second Ursula here. Like, I can't imagine that they're looking to make us discard... sorry, that they're looking to wheel us here since they've drawn, like, 10 cards. But I'm going to untap and probably Be Prepared our opponent. I might also Friends on the other side with the Mim and then Be Prepared. Interestingly, Ursula is also nice because it can... it can sing Be Prepared, which I think is pretty sweet. There is a world where I should just quest, but I think I'm going to draw cards just to make sure that if they have like follow-up discard that it doesn't just get us for free. Let's do this. Get rid of this Maleficent since we have so many rabbits. And then we'll just Be Prepared here. And we'll say go. It's only one of our Be Prepared, so we have plenty of other draw. They haven't actually gained any lore, so the Ursula doesn't do much in this spot beyond just being a 2/8, but it does close out the game pretty quickly. I'll still likely be looking to run out the double rabbit next turn. But there is a world where the Ursula is pretty okay here. I sure hope that their hand is good, because they have a lot of cards in it. So this is a spot where Tremaine would be really powerful, or something to remove the beast. But I don't really know if I care that much about one beast here. Given that they already have 1,000 cards in their hand, I'm not sure what they're drawing towards at this point. I think I am going to keep the Maleficent if I can. I don't think we need this as much since we have these double rabbits here. I'm going to keep the Maleficent Dragon because we can actually use it to attack what our opponent is doing. They have, what, like 10 cards in hand or something? Are they planning on singing Grab Your Sword to kill 2 rabbits? I mean, sure. That is an option. I'm considering just Maleficenting. Is this... I don't even know if they're the mill deck. Like, I really have no idea what they're out here doing. They could be the mill deck since they have so many extra cards, but it's kind of hard to know. I think we're getting rid of this Olaf here for sure. Do we just play Maleficent and cack the beast here? I think so. I think that's fine. Next turn we can have the line where we play the goat and we like Yzma the goat to put it back in the deck. Which I don't hate either. Smash and swords, or smash and fire the cannons. Okay, I mean, they've drawn a lot of cards, but they're using like 2 and 3 cards to deal with singular threats from us. Maybe we just play an Ursula here. I lied. We're going to play a Maui. Just to kill the Tinkerbell. It's pretty free. We could make it so that the Jafar can't just eat the Maui by just bouncing it. I don't particularly want to play out the goat into like a naked board, but maybe it just doesn't matter. We could also just play a Mim, put this back in our hand, and then ink it. I don't think I like that. I'm just going to play the goat. And then I think just say go. We need to get a little bit of pressure on. So sure, another Tinkerbell. It's fine. Are they going to smash? They fire the cannons on the goat? I mean, they're running out of cards here pretty fast. Okay. Playing Ursula here. And then I think I'm going to get rid of one of these Yzmas. And then I think just say go. See what they've got answer-wise for Ursula here. So they cycle a card, make us discard one. Donald Duck. Okay. Looks like they're probably going to attack with all. That's reasonable. So we have Teeth and Ambitions, which we can combine with, for example, Ursula to kill this, or we can kill the Tinkerbell with the Mim. I almost just want to play another Ursula. And just start questing. We can bounce one back to our hand and kill the Jafar. Kind of don't hate that. I don't know if I really need this Teeth and Ambitions, but we don't need much more ink here. Ursula questing for 3 is kind of spicy. They may be trying to mill us if they have, like, triple wheel. I don't even know if they're playing a wheel, because they haven't cast one yet. Their hand could just be all wheels all the time. That's possible. They might be looking to, like, sing the bounce on Ursula here and then wheel here. We haven't really played many of our Be Prepareds, so if they do that line, it looks like is possible here. Oh, they're just casting it with the intention of luring out. Okay, that's reasonable. An awkward spot for the most diabolical scheme because our draw's been kind of weird. Let's get rid of Teeth here. Guess say go. If we draw Be Prepared, we can sing it with the Ursula and then just slam another one, which I feel like would be pretty strong. I think that's what I would like to set up if possible. Given that we're falling behind on board here. Okay, that'll work. So let's Be Prepared. We will play another Ursula. We can ink Maui here. Draw 2 cards. Say go. Probably not looking to draw too much more. Assuming that they are on the mill as an option. Okay, we quest here. Our deck is filled with a lot of goats, though. This is 2. And we bounce it back. Interesting. I think 9. I think we play the Merlin, or the goat, since we have so many left in our deck, and our deck doesn't have that many cards. I'm just going to do this. They don't really have a way of getting these cards off the table in these colors, and this way they can't shift and sing twice to mill us. Yep, takes care of that. Honestly, the Ursula didn't feel terrible there. And it wasn't at its best because they hadn't quested. But we drained them for quite a few randomly there, which feels kind of okay. Hey, Splendid. Appreciate the follow. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I think... I don't hate it being a 3 lore quester. Yeah, that's a pretty good game. It's not to say that the Tremaine wouldn't have also worked in that spot. But the cards that have traditionally not been very good against steel just aren't in the deck at all. Being like the... going second. Really like the 1-drop there. Instead of just drawing the same cards I'm milling. Is this the same opponent? It looks like it might be. His hand is a lot worse against them than the other one was. It is. A 1-drop would have been spectacular here. But maybe it'll be fine. We've got the Maleficent, and we can just sing a bunch of times if it doesn't die right away. Maybe we'll make that work for us. Oh, they drew the Bucky, which is a bit annoying. Thinking I'm going to get rid of the goat, and our intention is just to, like, draw cards to counter the discard. Do they have the Bucky into John again? Wow, okay. Bucky into John is a bit of a problem, so the Teeth and Ambitions really doesn't do much. Hey, the Incubus, appreciate the follow. Thanks for hanging out. Well, we'll play our Maleficent. We have a safety valve in 4 turns, but 4 turns is an awful long time from now. So we'll see if this Maleficent Sorceress lives, and if it does, then we can start doing Friends on the other side. Oh goodness, another Bucky and a Fire the Cannons. Okay. So Yzma is good, but not necessarily what we need in this spot. Maybe we can keep it over the Maleficent, since we're looking to play the Rabbit this turn anyway. We're essentially in a really tough spot if our opponent starts playing a bunch of shifters. Sad Beast would probably be the worst case scenario, because they're going to be able to draw like 10 cards before we actually get out of this. Before we can be prepared. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do to be able to stop this in these colors. Teeth and Ambitions could slow this down a little bit, but it doesn't really fix our problem. Just have to draw a bunch of cards. I have to hope that they don't just, like, ruin my life in the next 2 turns. With just more of that garbage. 1, 2, I mean, look. There's nothing that I can do if they have all of their pieces. Draw. Really, all that I'm trying to do is, like, delay the game for 1 more turn before we are just, like, rip and pep, because then I can be prepared and clean this up. Get rid of this, and then we can draw a different card, I guess. I'm trying to decide if I want to, like, draw with all these Merlins, or have one in my hand. It's probably better to have one in my hand. Alright, we'll see how many more cards they make us discard before we get to wipe the board. Yeah, it also doesn't look like they're playing wheel, but you never know. They could just be doing a bunch of stuff with the intention of wheeling. Like, if they wheel us this turn, it's really bad. They get to draw like 1,000 cards, and then we're in a bad way. Though they could have been doing that just to draw an extra card here. Because even the Be Prepared here isn't amazing. It's okay. Another Bucky into a Donald. Okay, that's fine. I think. We can get rid of Teeth. I mean, it makes him draw 3 cards, which is not ideal, but Teeth and Ambitions. Maui. And I guess Dragonfire. I would be surprised if they don't quest with something this turn. At least like the Flynn Rider. Like, I don't love having to be prepared, but I don't really see another option. They could still make us discard more if they really wanted, if they sing. I'm not sure that they're intending on doing that here, but they could do that to cycle them into different cards. We'll see what they do. It would be nice if they got a little bit of lore to turn the Ursulas on. I suspect that they have a lot of cards in their deck to deal with, like, random idiots, and not a lot of cards to do much other than that. So they're bouncing Rabbit. They bounced a Beast back to their hand. Okay. That does protect their Sad Beast, I suppose. Well, we do this. I think we're gonna bin the Mim. We'll be prepared here, say go. Oh, Dragonfire's really nice. Maybe in 2 turns, the Dragonfire will be really good. I may blast the Beast if they just play that outright. If they play a second thing, I might get them both. Rattrack, appreciate the follow. I could consider just doing Be Prepared on these 2 things, because it'll stop them from drawing cards. Let's think about that for a second. So they have 5 cards in hand. We'd still have our Dragonfire as follow-up then. And we can do it on a turn where we can play a Rabbit plus Dragonfire. Okay. I think I've convinced myself that that's not bad. Hypnotize. Playing out a 6-drop of some sort. Potentially. How much more discard have they got? Like all of it still? Most of their discard came from Bucky's. They play a Benja. That is fine. I'll play an Ursula. Do we keep this in hand? I think so. That's potential discard fodder. Okay, we can blow up that Tinkerbell with the Dragonfire here. We can do Dragonfire Rabbit next turn. It's possible they don't even attack with Benja here. Let's do this. Dragonfire there. Ursula. Drop. Get in for 3 and say go. Like, I don't really know what their answer is to this Ursula that has any meaningful amount of time for them to actually do anything with it. So they bop the Rabbit, so we draw a card. Sure. The Mim is good. Fox is also good. I think my plan is to quest with Ursula, play this Mim, bounce Ursula, play Ursula, draw a card, put him back down, and then I think I can ink Olaf here, and say go. Hey, Hunnet. Yeah, it is going well. We've been trying some different RP decks. Today we're trying one that's a little spicy, that's running 4 copies of Ursula Power Hungry, which is definitely pretty far off meta, I would say. And so far it's looking pretty sweet, right? I imagine, mostly because it's not part of the metagame, like it's so far removed from the real meta. This is playing less uninkables than most of the versions of this deck. It's only running 16. Because it cuts the entire Tremaine package and all the spellbooks and all the Arthurs and whatever. So it's more of a control deck. I think we Ursula again here. I think we Mim as well. We can replay the Ursula. But they don't have any lore, so it really doesn't do anything for us. But I can delete this Tinkerbell. Which I think I'd like to do. So we get rid of this. Delete Tinkerbell. Say go. And they can draw us a card, that's fine. I feel like we have more room to work with cards than they do, but it's hard to know. Given our hand, I think it's Maui. Yeah, basically, like, because people are playing around Tremaine a lot more than they used to, it makes Tremaine, like, in kind of a weird spot, where it's still really strong, but it can struggle a little bit. I guess we're getting rid of the Diabolical Scheme, so we can draw into more removal. We still have all of our repairs in the deck. It's kind of in a weird spot, because people are able to play around it, and this is not a new TCG, but it is new-ish. This is Disney's Lorcana. They blasted Ursula for 2 damages, sure. So Disney's Lorcana is a Ravensburger created product. You can actually play it for free here. Pixelborn, which is a fan-made... The client that we're using is not made by them, but it is a fan-made product because the game is great. Yeah, there is some danger with tossing the last spell. They haven't shown any Lucifers at all. We played them last round, or the one right before this, and they didn't seem to be running those. But yeah, you're right, that can absolutely ruin your whole day. I'd like to Fox at least one of these, maybe the Benja. We don't really have to, like, we could just tuck the Maleficent back in and draw some cards. Play the Olaf, like, just sort of try to close the game. Well, we drew a Be Prepared, so that's nice. Maybe we hold the Olaf in hand. Oh, we drew a goat. They're just dead to this goat. Goat, bounce it. Bounce it with this, bounce it with this. Like, they're gonna have to spend a lot of resources to pull this Ursula off the table if they want to do that. Yeah, so this sort of spice is very strong in the mirrors because it allows you to sort of go over the top of what your opponents are doing. Like, they're going to invest a lot of resources in killing stuff, and they still can't really remove this Ursula. This thing has got in for, what, 12 or something? Yeah, I like the Tremaine as well, and the whole Tremaine package I think is great, but we're trying something. We're trying something that smashed me pretty easily a couple of games in a row, which, you know, anything that has a favorable matchup into this deck is at least worth giving consideration. Do I even care to Be Prepared this? I guess I don't want them to mill me out, so I should probably clear the board. How many goats are in here? Any? I don't think so. I think we maybe inked 1 goat. I definitely think that we Be Prepared here. And just clean up the problems. I'm just debating on whether or not I put down the Olaf, or if I ink it and just play the goat now. If I play the goat, they're just going to smash it. I don't think I need to do that, but I can just play Olaf straight up and then say go. Because it still threatens to get in for 1, which I think is fine. With the scheme. I think the scheme is pretty cool. Oh, they have Flynn Rida. guess that's not surprising, but I think they're just done so here. Goat, get him for 1. And then bounce the goat. We goat again. Say go. Yeah, we don't need to go fast. Like they don't really have the answers to get rid of it outside of wheeling us twice. Like I was mostly playing around getting double wheeled or whatever. And the way that you do that is you just remove the things on board so that they don't have the ability to sing while they're also doing that. Their deck seemed sweet though. I was like either way. But yeah, that Lucifer is... Yeah, go. 19 lower with a goat on board. Like, your turn. Kill me when you're at 0, you know. It's pretty brutal. So we get rid of these. I think I can get rid of this. We can keep this for ink. And then we have some early interaction and some draw. A 1-drop would have been nice instead of just drawing nonsense, but it's okay. There are a lot of 1-drops in this deck. I think it's at 8, which is quite a bit. So we're in the mirror of some sort. So we'll have to see how strong this deck feels in the RP mirrors here. Dragonfire is a little spicy. Some of the decks have been running some, though. It's kind of a choice between the Diabolical versus... the Diabolical versus the Dragonfire. It's kind of personal choice, I think. Play Maleficent, draw a card. This is good. If we can get this Tremaine, I'll probably try to do that. If they quest with it. They didn't. So the minis are very strong against this deck, sort of in general. We could teeth the Lady Tremaine here as well. Like we play the goat and then we sing teeth with this. Because them not being able to shift their Lady Tremaines is pretty good. I say that the Minnie Mouse is good, and then I immediately get rid of it, of course. We could also just sing Friends on the Other Side. I'm okay with that. Sand's pretty spicy. If they opt to Tremaine, then I'm just sacking the Maleficent, I suppose, if they don't trade in theirs. And then we can start rumbling on board a little bit. In theory, we just need this game to go long rather than fast, since we have the Ursulas and, in theory, a more controlling deck. But we'll see what they do. Rabbits are often pretty problematic for this deck, so you usually kill them off if you can. Okay, so they decide to shift the Tremaine. It's fine. Doesn't really do that much, because if they quest with it, I'm just going to I'm gonna Fox it for sure. And if they don't quest with it, like, kind of what was the point then? Unless their intention is to bounce it this turn. I think we still smash here. I'm just debating if I want to play another rabbit. I think I probably do. Get rid of a Maui. Say go. If they're looking to bounce it, I suppose that's fine. If they're looking to just do that, I find that to be fine. Draw a card, though. Maybe they're going to shift another Tremaine and then we just Dragon Fire the stack. Wow, they did it. The Mad Lad. It has been blasted. Alright, well, I don't even know if that was really a great trade from our opponent here. Now they're down 2 Tremaines, plus the little one. All to get rid of some of our rabbits, huh? No. It is acceptable. Rabbits. I'm inking teeth here. So I'm gonna get one of these foxes down so I can sing the friends on the other side next turn. We'll hold back the Olaf. We don't need the Olaf to die for free. We can use it to protect from opposing Tremaines here as well. They concede. That's fair. I think that's fair. They are firmly behind here. We've drawn 5 cards more than them and still have rabbits in hand. Losing that Tremaine stack was probably their death knell, I think. But that makes sense. A nice 3-0. I've been doing pretty okay with some of these spicy lists lately, which I like. I don't really care that much about the ladder, one way or the other. Like, I don't play a ton offline, but it's still like doing well, of course. So far, this deck has seemed pretty sweet, and it even, we're like in this interesting place where if we hit an Ursula, like, it's just very good for us there. Which I think is where this deck is trying to angle towards, is you just, most of your cards draw another card, and then you're not playing like the random nonsense that's uninkable and is targeted by what's in the meta currently. So we got no 1-drops again. Let's get rid of some amount of these. Oof, that was a rough mulligan. I keep maybe under mulliganing because there's so many inkables in this deck. I think maybe we can be a little bit greedier with it. Maybe only keeping 1 inkable thing instead of 3. This looks like the Mufasa deck. With Lilo. Okay. Well, these Teeth and Ambitions are going to be pretty good. So I think I'm going to get rid of the Maui. Just run out the mini then. The Maui would also be good in this, but I think the Teeth is going to be necessary to deal with the Lilo. And we also don't want to get buried too quickly here. Lilo is an interesting addition to that deck. Generally, it plays towards like a deeper part of the game, but wow, they just attack, huh? Okay. Yeah, and that could be true. That could certainly be true. I'm glad that I kept the Teeth, though. Yeah, they are cooking. Do I just blast this? I'm considering playing the Maleficent, but if they just like attack with Stitch, that's kind of annoying. Maybe we bounce this back and then just play the Mim and then ink that. I kind of don't hate that. Then we can sing this next turn as well. And it threatens the Stitch pretty easily. There's even a world where we like double Teeth and kill our own Mim just to blast their stuff. Let's see what this Stitch is cooking here. Mini Surfer. Okay, so we have an answer to that. They likely can't do anything here. So we can Maleficent, we find a Mim. I do think that I should get rid of this Stitch so that they can't, shift onto it. I think we'll do this, and we'll hit here and here. And we can ignore the Surfer because we do have the Dragonfire. I say ignore, we're not really ignoring it, but we can wait to deal with it with something else. I'm not sure. I can ask them, but they were basically... Oh, you mean what our opponent is playing? Yes, probably. That would make sense. Another Minnie Mouse, huh? Okay. So maybe we don't Dragonfire and we just dig for like a Be Prepared then. This. I'm gonna get rid of Teeth here. I think we're in the world of we're gonna have to dig a little deep for an answer to multiple of these. I would even be fine just doing this on turn 7 as well, but we'll see what they play. We still have the Dragonfire on deck if we really need to deal with one of them, but just interacting with one mini is not necessarily that valuable. So they're looking to draw 2 cards then. Okay, that's fine. That is not that big of a deal. I'm much more scared of them just like luring us to death in this spot, I think, than drawing 2 random cards. Ooh, they're playing LaFoe as well. And Lilo. Yeah, we really need to dig for that Be Prepared like right away. What is the best way to do that? Do Merlin twice this turn, I suppose? This, bounce this back, draw, get rid of Minnie, play another rabbit. Most Diabolical. Could Diabolical a Minnie. Now I'm debating on whether or not I even quest with this, because if they have another Rapunzel, they can just bash into it and heal. I think I'm not. I don't think the one lore is going to make that big of a difference. And this gives us the ability to sort of play around that a little bit. Because if they just quest with everything, we can Dragonfire and just clean up the board if we really want. It is 2-2 currently for the Dragonfire. Basically, you can't run that many Diabolicals, because like at a certain point you just don't always have things in play to hit with it. I think 2 is probably the number. They are just opting to quest with everything. What are they playing as a follow-up to that? So this makes them pretty vulnerable. A Tremaine. Okay, so we get the rabbit here. Be Prepared would still be our best draw, of course. The Tremaine is actually quite problematic for us here. We can kill both of these with, like, Mim or with Maui. If we use Mim, we can also play the rabbit. I don't think we need this goat for right now. I think our play is to bash Rapunzel twice. Play this. Play the rabbit. Bash the Lilo, say go. Then our opponent will go to 16, which is still not great. It might be. If we don't rip a Be Prepared, it probably will be. But what's interesting about the Ursula is it does have the ability to claw back a bit of lore, so we're not just like necessarily dead on board to whatever, which I think is nice. It would be really hard to deal with the Mufasa, yeah. That is true, because then it generally cycles into something. Okay, they have a Lady Tremaine. I don't know if they're going to attack with it or not. I probably would just quest. Okay, that makes sense. Another Maui, huh? So this is pretty obvious. Just baiting on what we're doing with this Merlin here. We probably have to Dragonfire this mini now. Like, just doing Ursula doesn't necessarily help our problem at all. So I think it's probably like, do this, Dragonfire here. Like, Mim the rabbit. And then we ink something, probably one of these Mauis, because we're not going to have the opportunity to play two of them anyway. That means we've quested too many times. I really don't want to be Yuzmaing our opponent's things if we don't have to. So we'll have to see if that's a thing. But we might just lose, and that happens. Snow White. Well, we didn't hit a Be Prepared. We can live. This is anytime it quests. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's not really an option, huh? But drawing them 2 cards also doesn't feel great. Because they'd get to get back something like a Lilo and just play it immediately. I'm debating on playing this Ursula. Instead of playing the Yzma. We need this to kill this. No, we don't. We don't need that to kill that. Because if we don't hit Be Prep next turn, we're just dead anyway. The reason that I'm thinking this is our only real out here is Be Prepared. Because just 1-for-1ing what they're doing isn't enough. Because this is like minus 1-for-1, right? So we need to get him to 19 and then just like hit a Be Prep. And then sing the Be Prep and then refill the board with cards of draws cards, and then try to like play the Ursula a bunch of times. Because like really I think that's our only out, is just having that. But now if they only play one thing, like we still have the out of just hitting this as well. If I had kept that Maui, of course. So, given this, we can draw like 4 cards to try and hit it. this. Okay, we did hit the B prep. So we're not just dead. At least this turn anyway. Alright, it's our opponent's go, so we'll see how many times we have to replay this Ursula to not die. Donald Duck. Okay. That deals with Donald Duck for now. I don't think that I want this as much as I'd rather have ink for next turn. Because I feel like we're going to need to dig pretty deep. If they play two things, we're kind of in B prep again or death. Yeah, maybe doing that would have been better in case of the Tremaine. That's true. I wasn't even thinking of the Tremaine, but yeah, that's absolutely true. So we can do this. It worked out, but that is accurate to play around Tremaine. So I think we do this. We play him on Maleficent, replay the Maleficent, kill the queen here. All of these cards are great, so I'm going to hold them. The Teeth can kill something while we also develop an Ursula here. The Ursulas will be nice to sort of claw back a little bit of this, so that in case they have something like this that can only quest for one, we don't necessarily have to deal with it right away. Play Ursula here. Ursula draws into Dragonfire. I think I can leave the Queen of Hearts, right? Might be better to kill it, though. What are we getting rid of, then? The Goat? I don't think we need the Reach. I think we're just going to be able to close out the game like normal. As long as we're not dead. We have this that can blow up another thing if we have to with the Maleficent. So we have them on a pretty fast clock here. I wonder what's in their hand that they can't play just actual Dragonfire. Okay, sure. Yeah, so the Lilo is great for us because we can play our rabbit now. We can just teeth the... Keep the rabbit here. Draw 2 cards. Play this, draw another card. Mess with those. Say go. Ursula made them lose 2 lore this game, by the way. Just as a note. So this is unfortunate because if they have Big Stitch in their hand, then this can bury us here. But I don't really want to use a Be Prepared on it. That feels very wasteful. Yeah, we could probably Ursula Yzma, assuming that they're not playing Be Prepared. Well, we'll see what we draw off the Ursula. It might just be an answer as well. Because it, like, would have to be Prepared exactly, which seems really unlikely in a deck that has Lilo in it. Like, Lilo and Be Prepared are kind of not really the same card. Yeah, they don't really have the time to play all their cards with only 6 ink, I suppose. I don't know, the Ursula didn't feel terrible. Like, The baby Tremaine is interesting because it could sometimes give you... it could sometimes give you a... minus lore on your opponent, but it never really worked consistently enough. Probably one of the parts is that it didn't draw you a card. And another one is that it wasn't that big of a threat on its own, whereas Ursula is just like also closes the game. So you delay a little bit and close the game, which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, you don't want to be in those really tight situations, but I mean, didn't feel that bad. Okay, this hand is real bad. So let's just like get rid of most of it. We can keep like some guaranteed ink. Oh yeah, we got 1-drops now. We got the goat, which is whatever, but the 1-drops are pretty important. If you don't play one out, it does feel like you're behind on board a lot. Especially on the draw. Hand is okay. Flynn Rider, so something of an aggro deck probably, or a discard deck. Play out a Minnie Mouse here, say go. I'm looking to play these Maleficent Sorcerers out, and then also have the friends on the other side as a sing option on free. Okay, so it is a discard deck again. The red Aladdin is pretty slow. Being that it's a 3-cost and it's very telegraphed. And it's also just like not very good against steel. Because the 7-drop one is bad on its own unless you have unless you have a way to give it rush. And against steel, like we already saw that they've been to Benja, which is a way of them interacting and killing items. So there's too many decks, I think, trying to interact with the things that made Aladdin good before. Like your items, like your 2/2 doesn't generally live because it dies to Teeth and Ambitions and things like that. Do I think it's an unplayable card? No. But I think that it's competing with too many of the stronger 3-drops in the deck. Given that Maleficent and Min Fox and things like that are just much better cards on their own. Oh god, a second Bucky. That's a huge problem. They are going to make us discard so many cards this game. We have 4 turns that we have to live while still drawing enough cards to outweigh the double Bucky again. Though they're not drawing cards this time, which makes the discard a lot less scary. I will get rid of Maui. And I will get rid of the goat here. And then on our turn, we can just draw like 3 more cards. Because the Maui just like isn't it. We can draw cards first though. In theory, I should have done friends on the other side first, since we were going to do that anyway, just in case we drew a rabbit. We'll get rid of this. Bash with our Minnie Mouse and say go. As long as we still are generating cards, I'm not as scared about this deck if they're not also drawing cards. But if they do play something like a Beast, then it becomes a lot scarier. And since they just got rid of a Donald, which is a card that triggers this is their most likely outcome, which is unfortunate. I think it's this and probably Ursula. They're likely going to quest for one here, would be my assumption. Yeah. Yeah, the Aladdin not being able to just, like, sneak in and do stuff is pretty problematic. Okay, so we can kill the Beast if we want, which I think is probably good enough. As opposed to just drawing a card. Like, I'd rather stop them from drawing any cards. Even though we're on a particularly fast clock with the Flynn here. But I don't think that I can afford to just say go and let them draw 2 cards here. Especially considering that we've discarded. Okay. I wish this had an ability to... Oh, a way to interact with Ward. These colors. But it is fine. We'll just keep questing and we'll just play all of our cards. We can always draw out of this by just hitting like a rabbit into an ink and to be prepared or something. Good lord. That is their third beast. Okay. Mostly just getting buried by this card. The rest of this is not really that problematic, but the beasts are burying us. Such is life, I suppose. I'm glad that we didn't play towards just letting him keep the beast. And trying to play towards the be prepared, because we just weren't going to have any cards in our hand. All that they've drawn so far is sad beasts with double Bucky. Can make them not draw more cards here, but if they attack with their 2 Buckies, we're just going to get rid of them both. I feel like I have to get rid of this because our out is only be prepared. Oh, we're just dead anyway, huh? Okay. Even if I attack here. Alright, they got me. Like, there's nothing that I can do. I feel like that deck is very vulnerable to just losing to itself more than whatever your opponent is doing generally. But if you hit all of your cards, then it's great, you know? One of those, like, you hit Bucky or you hit John and then you just do all that stuff and it works out, it's great. But if you're just playing discard cards with like random mid-rangey things, I don't know if it's really that good of a deck without those other pieces, right? Like if their plays just run out Flynn Rider if you don't have those other bits. Yeah, 60% of the time it works every time. We need faster cards than these. That'll work. I'm playing a lot of discard today. I wish there was more ways of interacting with it, honestly. It really doesn't feel like there's anything that you could do against it. You just play against it, and then they either have it or they don't. I don't think we need another Olaf here. I'm gonna try to get the rabbit down and then just mim it a bunch. They have a Bucky again. I think this person... We fought this person 4 times today, and they've had a Bucky on 2 every single game. I guess. They're gonna have John, too. I mean, the deck is, I'm sure, great if you hit every time. It is possible that they just mulligan 7 if they don't hit it, and then that gives you a pretty good chance of hitting it, so. And Tinkerbell, okay. So we can blast the Tinkerbell if we want so that they can't shift. That is an option. Let's see what the rabbit gives us. We have a Yzma that we can draw a bunch of cards with. The question is, do I care if they shift this? It makes us discard a card. We're going to have to discard anyway. Ugh, I hate it. Okay, your turn. I would like to Yzma this Merlin. Ursula is particularly bad against this deck, outside of just being a 2/8. But maybe a 2/8 is just like what we need against them. They opt to smash the rabbit. I'm actually fine with that. I know that our hand doesn't line up in such a way that that's good for us, but I don't know if that's that bad. I wonder if I just play this Maui. Because then it can sing Friends on the Other Side next turn. And we can Yzma it. So we'll just draw 4 cards next turn. Yeah, they play the Sad Beast. I'm not surprised about that. I think we're in the market to get rid of Ursula here. Okay, we do this. Sing, draw some cards. We can make this not have the ability to draw. As opposed to Yzma-ing. And they only have 3 cards in their hand. Feels decidedly very fucking medium. But like, maybe. Kinda hate it, as opposed to just drawing, but I don't think that they're gonna be able to make us discard 3 cards. And this makes it so that they don't really have as much draw as they would have normally. They play Lucifer. So they are playing Lucifer. This is the first time that I've seen it out of their deck. They are playing very slow, I have noticed. We can't keep the Maui, so I think we just get rid of it. We draw some cards. Say go. I probably get rid of the Yzma over the rabbit here. Mother knows best, so they bounce the Lucifer and then replay it. Okay. You have sunk my battleship. Rohanzo, appreciate the follow. Do I just like start getting in for 2? What are they gonna do? Hit it with their beast? I don't really want to put the Yzma back in my hand. That doesn't fucking do anything. Like, I'm considering just getting rid of this for ink. Just, I don't want their discard to do anything, and the rest of their deck doesn't do anything either then. Like, their deck cards, their cards don't have text if you don't have any cards in your hand. Just straight up. Outside of this beast, which currently they have damage on, so they can't draw cards from that either, so they're just on the 1 card a turn just like we are. They bounce the beast to replay it. Sure. That is acceptable. Why is it still 7-5? Have we found a bug, perhaps? I would like Be Prepared. That is acceptable. It is possible that we found a bug where we bounce this to their hand. It could be visual, that's true. Flynn Rider. I don't really want to bin this, but I don't feel like we have a choice. Because if they play any Floodborn, they just get rid of it. It feels bad, but it does make anything else that we draw live. Interesting, okay. But they can't really quest with Flynn Rider, because we just get to eat it with Yzma. I mean, I suppose they could quest with it. They strength of the Raging Fire, sure. Okay, so now it is on us to draw something to interact with the board, but we can play anything that we draw now. We play Olaf. Excellent. I was thinking more like an Ursula, but we'll take what we can get, I suppose. Ah, Minnie Mouse. Excellent. This does mean that the Flynn Rider is a little awkward now for them, because they can't attack with it. Otherwise, we can just attack with both of them. I don't appreciate getting only 1-drops from here, but they strengthen the Raging Fire a Minnie Mouse so that they can attack with their Flynn Rider. Sure. Here's a goat. We're racing, I guess. And then they played another Sad Beast. Well, that's problematic. Okay, be prepared, huh? Okay, now I would very much like an Ursula. I would accept a rabbit as well. Something to claw us back into this, to participate in the game again. Ah, Lucifer, excellent. That'll do. Be prepared into a rabbit, sure. We can actually play around a second Lucifer by just getting rid of a Be Prepared, I think. If they do it again, you know, we're got, but I would rather keep the Merlin rabbit, I think. Okay, that's fine. Annoying, but fine. Especially since we can just, like, pop the Lucifer here. I have played a bunch of cards. Please don't shift Tinkerbell, please. Well, actually, shift Tinkerbell doesn't do that much. It's good, but it's not incredible here. Because it would kill the rabbit first. They Prince John, and then they make us discard, and then they draw a card. Okay. Still use like an Ursula or something, but I'm strongly considering killing this Tinkerbell. That's a pretty good draw, actually. I think we're gonna do that. And then... Wait, we don't want to Yzma yet. We want to do this, this... Are we Yzming the Olaf? I suppose we're Yzming Olaf. And then I think I keep both of these in hand. Because if they make us discard one, I would rather keep the Maleficent in hand. If they make us discard two, then they got me. Oh, goodness. I mean, they are on a 2-turn clock, so... They sang it with Prince John. Okay. They smash. Fair. These cards don't do anything. If we attack here, I don't really care about the John. I'm just gonna say go. I didn't need to keep this in my hand. I should have just played the 1-drop out just to put more pressure on the board. Now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, obviously, if they have more discard, then it's problematic, but they're not going to be able to... If they don't deal with this Yzma, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up lore-wise, unless they're just questing, I suppose, which seems like something that they can do. Because we can do this and kill the beast. And then if we just quest for 2 here, then they need to deal with both of these things. Say go. Bounce your thing, bounce your thing. Quest for 2. Quest for 2. Concede. Fair enough. Yeah, discard is so weird. Their deck is just filled with a lot of stinkers. If their first initial like thing doesn't work, they don't always have enough resources to finish. Yeah, pass the test of patience. Yeah. Do we just snap concede when our opponent plays out all the cards to delete our hand? I think that's a prime example of why John is more important than the Bucky. In those decks, because if they're not also drawing cards when they're making you discard, then their deck is filled with like a lot of stickers. But if they're making you discard and drawing off of it, then it's easy to get buried, because even when you wipe the board at some point, they can still climb back pretty well. Please not discard for the 10th time. Do we get rid of the Dragonfire? Yeah, I think so. Sure, we gotta be prepared. Oh, it may not be discard. It could be. It could still be discard, but it might not be. It is steal something. Well, let us run out a 1-drop here in Minnie Mouse. And say go. And we'll see what they're working with. It is discard again. Okay. We're just discard all day. Yeah, we have been on the draw most of these. That's true. Request here. I guess I get rid of 1 Maleficent. Have we been on the draw like all of these games? Goodness, it's a Dawn. Okay. We get rid of this Mim. We played all the discards. Yeah, I mean, that does make it a little bit more impressive. That was... Our draw has been pretty good this game against discard. This could be the wheel variant, though. We don't know exactly what they're playing. Good. A second John. Excellent for us. Okay. This. How is this into hyper aggro? It's fine. It has 8 1-drops and then Teeth and Ambition package plus the Mim Fox. Like, all of those cards kind of bully the hyper aggro. Like, the Tremaine was never what you cared about in the hyper aggro matchups anyway. It was delaying the game with minis and Teeth and Mim Foxes until you be prepared them, and then you close out the game. You're really only shaving most of the late game stuff to play Ursula, and then Ursula is also good against the hyper aggro if you get to this point, because it drains them. We get rid of 1, be prepared instead of 2 cards. So I don't want to lose 2 cards for no reason, but they are still drawing 2. What are we doing this turn? Yeah, maybe we fox the rabbit. So we can play the rabbit again next turn. Because we're intending on just slamming Be Prepared the instant that it's an option. If they have another Lucifer... Yeah, hitting a spell there would have been very good. Fuck's sake, how many cards do you need? Okay. I guess draw 6 cards. Like, I don't have any answer for the nut draw of... Like, this is the only card in their deck that's good. Oh, good. Let's do it again. Sure. Okay. This is the only card in the discard deck that's good. It's Prince John, which is why it's like $10. The rest of the cards in the deck are trash. Just straight up. Like, okay. It's not fine. It's obnoxious. This is the only card that's good. It is literally Prince John. It's insanity to me, just hitting all of them. Or maybe we're supposed to just play Olaf, but... I don't care if they draw more cards. It just doesn't matter. Maybe I do. Mostly because they're two lore characters. But what's insane is that we can still win this game. And that is what I think is crazy about this, is they haven't done anything. All they've done is draw 30 cards. They have 6 ink. What are they going to do? Draw more cards? All they've done is draw cards. They've hit us with the double Bippity Lucifer with triple John. Sure, we have lost our board. My assumption is that they're planning on making us discard more. With the Lucifer. Just gonna play another one. Oh yeah. Do it. Make me discard. I feel like without the triple John, this deck is just non-functional. I think we ink it. Just bash this thing. Okay, you've drawn 17 extra cards. Can you close the game in a timely manner? Fox was a good draw, yeah. Let us do more than one thing in a turn. Like, I don't know. What are they? How are they ever going to win if they just keep casting spells and drawing cards? Hello? Please try to win the game, please. I didn't see if their deck was more than 60 cards. No, because the big Tremaines aren't inkable. That's the problem with Tremaine, and that's always been the problem with Tremaine, is that it's a non-inkable card. Like, the deck already has too many uninkables. It already has way too fucking many uninkables. Every version, every flavor of RP is just flooded with uninkables. Because you have to start with 4, and then another 4 immediately. Because every deck is just... you have to. The sand is fine. You're starting with Be Prepared. I mean, yeah, you got me. But they're just also dead to... they're just also dead to steal like 100% of the time, right? Because Steel just swords them, and then they played 6 cards that didn't have text. Such is the metagame right now. Especially with Teeth, like a cheap ward character is pretty strong, so you can't interact with it. Flynn Rider. You can kill Flynn Rider here. I think that's fine. We could also let it quest and just don't worry about it. Yeah, it feels like we should just get it. I don't want it to be able to sing either. Like if they just play John and make us discard 1 or whatever, it's kind of annoying. Got the Prince John on 3 again, of course. Excellent. Good for us. Fun, very interactable, very interactable. Yeah, if they do, I don't care. If they want to look at my hand, they look at my hand. I'm thinking about playing this goat. I mean, every deck in the entire game that isn't running Steel is going to have a problem with a double John draw. Like, full stop. This. Though now I can't interact with the Lucifer, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I was supposed to just get rid of the B-Prep, but I don't think that matters. If they bippity me here, we're just done anyway. Like, this is a combo deck that requires straight-up Prince John. Because the deck does not function, period, without it. No function. It does nothing. None of the cards have any text without John in play. Because making your opponent discard 1 or 2 just doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But then if they flicker Lucifer again, like, then I'm just done. Like, they draw 2, they rip into Bippity, and then they Lucifer, and then we're just dead. Yeah, they did. They had it anyway. Like, it's not just their draw engine, it's the fact that their deck doesn't have redundant copies of it. When your deck has redundant copies of things, it's different. Because if you have redundant alternative draw things that work, then you can play those instead, right? If you don't see the John, you have something else in that spot. Popsicle doesn't only play Flavershem generally to draw cards. It plays Flavershem and also something else, right? Because you can't afford to just only do one thing. Because then if you don't see it, your deck has 60 fucking cards. If you don't draw it, you're done. I'm debating on what to do with this Olaf. Whether I bounce it and then ink it, or what. or if I do Maleficent, but I can't also do the Fox if I do Maleficent. I could keep the Fox in hand and do the Snake instead. Well, I guess I'd be getting rid of this then, if we want to do the Maleficent. So then I may as well just play this. No, I play this. This is fine. We'll do this, we'll bounce this. We need to ink anyway, so we may as well do this. Like, you don't have Prince John, and then this draw literally just discards your whole hand to make them discard their hand, and that's your whole line. And I'm not sure if that's playable. Because they don't have other draw. That's why they play stuff like fucking Donald Duck. Is that it lets both players draw cards sometimes. And now we'll see if what they have left is enough to close out the game. John Silver's pretty strong here. But if they attack with the Daisy Duck, we were going to slam into it anyway. So all it functionally does is slow us down a little bit. I mean, maybe could have inked this, but I wanted to be able to kill John if they quest with it. By just hitting with both. Tiana. Okay. And another Daisy Duck. Sure. Most Diabolical. That doesn't have any text, unfortunately. That would have been good if we had one-drop villains. Are there any one-drop villains in these colors? I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, but she's uninkable, right? What are we doing? Why did we just do that? I'm very confused why they just discarded a card. Tiana? Oh, okay. Right. I appreciate the BM as well. I hit the nuts twice in a row and then won again. I like that. That's good quality. I'm just going to wait. I don't want to queue into them again. I'm getting very tired of playing only discard. It is not good testing. So I don't think the deck is very consistent at all. We have determined that if they draw 3 Johns, that the deck can struggle. I think that's true of most decks that aren't Steel. But I don't really see how that deck beats an Ariel. Unless they literally have Smash, but that is their turn 3 turn. It's like if they're smashing it, then they're not. Like, how are they beating Wheel? Like, I'm so confused. Like, if your opponent wheels themselves and draws 7 new cards and just like barfs out their hand, then your early game just doesn't have text. It's insane to me. But if somebody's played a lot of discard, certainly let me know if you have had a similar experience fighting against Steel where they just kill your stuff and then your cards don't work. Because I suspect that that's the case, but I haven't played it enough to really want to invest in it, because the few games that I did testing on it, I found that the draws where I had John were great, and the ones where I didn't were non-functional, so... so I determined that it wasn't necessarily for me. Okay, so we have some rabbits. Rabbits are nice. We go second. We can ink the Maui and probably the Yzma, and I think this hand is fine otherwise. I think this hand's alright. We like the rabbits, for sure. We like the Maleficent. We like the 1-drop. We like the 1-drop into the Mim Snake to bounce the 1-drop and scoop it back up. I don't know how many games we're going to be second. Most of them, I assume. Go back and check the logs. I assume it's been quite a few of them. The discard deck is always also a lot worse on the draw than on the play, too, right? Because, A, you have less cards to discard if they're trying to get the draw, but, like, your answers can come down a turn sooner. Like, there were a few games where we were at 6 ink with the B-Prep in hand, and then they made us discard 5 cards or whatever. How do they fare against the song decks? I think that's what's really... Red, purple with blue fairy. Interesting. What did I do to Pavel? I don't think I did anything to Pavel, did I? Oh no. Is he mad at me? What have I done? I made a joke. Perhaps that's what it is. Yeah, I think we'll get rid of the Yzma. Given the rest of our hand, I think we have plenty of draw otherwise. And then we can ink this Minnie Mouse, and then we don't have to really worry too much about our ink for the rest of the game. I made a joke. Somebody had said that they... Every time that they test a deck, that it seems like they match up against the direct counter, and I'm like, that would be impossible to code. That would be so difficult if it was actually true, and I found that to be amusing because it would be like the most difficult thing to code. Yeah, there are a lot of emotes that are a little toxic. The only emotes that I want in here are, like, I don't want whoops. You can get rid of this. You can get rid of thanks and whoops. Both of these are trash. I only want greetings and well played. And you know what, honestly, if you get rid of all of them, it would be fine too. Did we just get Rafiki'd in our Year of the Lord 2023? We have been Rafiki'd. What do I do about that? We just draw cards, just blast the stupid fairy. Maybe I'll get it next turn. I think we need to get it this turn. Be prepared, greetings. Yeah. Maximum toxicity. Play John, 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 and then just greetings a bunch. Yeah, my problem with these is not that they are useless, because they are, like the whoops. I've clicked this more because I'm just trying to do something else than anything else. Ooh, auto mod, fucking get 'em. Bye. We've been Queen of Hearts. How does that make us feel? Not great. I don't care that much about it. This blue fairy is a little annoying, though. What do we do? We could teeth this, Dragonfire this. I don't hate that. We could just bounce this back to hand. Leave him with the stupid Queen of Hearts. Maybe I like that better. I don't really care that much about this Queen of Hearts. If we don't have anything to attack, it doesn't really do anything. Like, the Mem already challenges it well enough, I think. And before they immediately play, like, Radovan or whatever, just fucking quest for one and then untap and eat our Maleficent and draw an extra card. I also had an opponent play the 2-drop Pinocchio against me, the one that taps an opponent's thing when it comes into play, the 2-drop Uninkable, and it was very good in the mirror. Goodness, another blue fairy. What does this do? Every time you play a Floodburn character, you may draw a card. They have drawn a lot of cards off of it, because they've played some amount of Floodborn characters. Yeah, it seems pretty okay for the mirror, I guess. We just sort of let them draw cards, and then we B-prep them, right? We just want to, like, Yzma and shuffle in our Mim Snake, maybe? And then just B-prep them next turn. I don't hate it either. I don't think we attack with this. It's not like I care that many cards they have in their hand, but we can just, like, do it next turn. It's kind of the same. We don't need them to attack with it and get a free card out of it for no reason. Yeah, it's interesting to use... It makes your deck a lot... What the hell is this? It makes your deck a lot more reliant on the Mim Snake, I think. The no spellbook is basically a concession to running the Ursulas instead, because the Ursulas are very good at closing the game out, and there's not a ton of answers for it, at least compared with what some decks have. Do I just get these two off the board? Like, is B-prep even necessary here? It's so weird. I mean, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do the plan and then let them do stuff. But yeah, the reason... So it's also not running the... like some of the other lower drop closer stuff. And it honestly... The Ursula, like... Ursula quest and then, like, bounce it and play it again made the spellbook look pretty embarrassing, because it... Okay, let's imagine that the spellbook, even if you have it in play for a long time, is getting in for, what, 6? If the Ursula quests twice, it's already done the same. I think this turn I just draw some cards. How many cards? 2 cards? 1 card? 2 cards. Maybe we just Mim and bounce it back. I want to keep all my goats. Maybe we want to keep all the Mims. We'll just get rid of Maleficent. I don't actually need it. I got this B-prep. Play the other rabbit, say go. Okay, I want them to commit a few more things to the board, and then we'll just wipe it. And if they don't, then we can always get them with the foxes and the Dragonfire. I mean, Hey is just like... They've Elsa'd me. Oh, goodness. Yeah, if you want Tremaine protection, because there's so many 1-drops, you do Ursula plus, plus a 1-drop then. They're challenging us to death. They're getting us. We get 2 cards out of the deal, but they're getting us. Yeah, if they're in a world where Tremaine is a thing that they could be doing, then we're definitely in a spot where we want to play around that if possible, and it is usually pretty possible. But, like, you Yzma goats a lot in this deck to try to reclose the game. We be prepared. At least one of us is prepared, I suppose. I don't think we need teeth here. I will play out the Olaf because it gives us something that we can Yzma, or it gives something that we can bounce and actually get one of these other idiots down, but we'll see. It's possible that we should just ink this. But if they are playing Tremaine and they want to kill an Olaf, then that's fine. I'd like to draw some Ursulas, though, honestly. We're in a pretty good position for them right now. They've played a Felicia. They have tucked their Felicia back into their deck to draw 2 cards. That's fair. We may just be goat or rabbiting and doing that ourselves. I'm thinking goat over rabbit, honestly. Do we just leave their Yzma in play then? Maybe. What else have they got? A Rafiki, sure. Don't really care if they kill this Olaf, I don't think. If we don't play a rabbit, what are we doing as far as ink this turn? It would have to be a Mimfox. Maybe I take another turn off and we just rabbit a little bit. We could one rabbit and Dragonfire. If I 2 rabbit, that's basically all of my draw. We'll say go. If they opt to kill my Merlins by playing another Elsa, then they got me. It's not that bad of a hand. We have a lot of direct damage. We just need ink mostly. Our opponent ran out of Rafiki just like raw, so their hand is also not spectacular. I'm always curious where they find room for cards like Rafiki. Somewhere in their deck, right? Because like now that these are tapped, these foxes become like very strong. They just pass. Okay. Wonder if I just leave Rafiki in play. Kind of. Kinda don't care. I don't think we need this Yzma. Not now that we have the Maleficent. We also have 10 cards in our hand or whatever, so we don't really need more draw. If they opt to play something like another Queen of Hearts or a Shere Khan or whatever before bashing our thing, I think that's fine. Especially now that we have Ursula. As sort of the cleanup crew. They bin a Maui. They play one Shere Khan. Okay. They opt to bash the rabbits. We draw a card. It was a be prepared. That is a very good draw. So if our opponent commits another maybe 2 cards to the board, I would consider singing it and then playing out our hand, which would be quite favorable. Tremaine is fine too. We'll just be prepped then, and our opponent will have 1 card to our 15. Okay, you know. Feel pretty safe in this game. I don't think that there's anything that they can really do to beat what we're doing here. We just have too many cards in hand. Yeah, they did put it all sort of just right there, which is a strategy, and sometimes you have to do that, like your hand texture just doesn't have much of a choice. And if that's the case, you know, jam your cards, hope they're good. I did have a lot of cards not to have a B-prep though. Though we have used 2 of them, we only have 20 cards left in the deck, so it's pretty likely that we found the 3rd. Though not guaranteed, as I'm sure that you can attest. Another Shere Khan. And a Yzma to tuck it back into the deck and draw 2 cards. Yeah, Yzma being a 9 cost draw 2 is not the best. It's okay, but it's not the best. There's a blue fairy. I will do Teeth and Ambitions. This. I will blast Yzma. I could have played the Maleficent, but I'd rather, I think, play this Yzma here. Or actually just do this. Just bounce the goat and say go. They know now that if they don't wipe the board that we just have a goat in hand, and then that's lethal. And if they do wipe the board, they know that we have a goat in hand, which feels pretty close to lethal. Yeah, if I'm out here passing the game, you know, you're not in a great spot. Okay, goat, go. You think we got it, boys? I think so. Well played. An interesting mirror. I think that the tech to triple goat. I think that the tech to have more cards that interact like on the board is interesting. I actually didn't mind that blue fairy. It seemed decent here. But you have to play like a lot more random Floodborn things. Which obviously is a little awkward sometimes. Not that the Floodborn cards themselves are bad, but there are other things that are generally a little bit better. Okay, we go again. Yeah, the normal decks we're doing alright on. We've lost to just discard 3 times. 2 of them were nut draw. We've been going second a lot. We did go first last game, and it was not a super difficult victory. I could get rid of this, and this, and maybe 1 Mim. Keep the Maleficent for ink. Okay. We drew another Mim back, that's fine. Because we do have the 1-drop to go with our other things, which is nice. Against Zatox here. They are on some sort of a flute deck, I imagine. Flute all day, every day. So we'll see how the Ursula does in these, against a deck like this then. They quest with the Queen. And they play a Sleepy Flute. Fair enough. Well, guess we're saying go. I had already inked this turn, but now we have 2 Olafs, or 2 1/3s in play. It's fine. That was not exactly what I was intending on doing, because that was supposed to be ink, but I guess it's in play now. They've drawn a Let the Storm Rage On. Okay, so we... I guess bash. We get rid of a friends on the other side here then. I suppose we run out one of the Mims. Let the Storm Rage On can't exactly kill it straight up. And we do need something in play to be able to Diabolical. They grab your swords, and then they also let the Storm Rage On. I think that's fine. They've invested an awful lot of resources in just dealing with, like, 2 cards. They must have a wheel in their hand then, would be my assumption. But, conveniently, we have the ability to just kill Ariel here. Which I think I will take. Because now if they don't have Shift Queen, like, it's difficult for them to wheel. It is still possible, but it is more difficult. Another wheel, sure. If they don't opt to Queen into my Mim here, I think I'm going to sing Diabolical on the Ariel. And then maybe play Rabbit Olaf. Because we know that their hand is just like wheel, so... I would rather just like get stuff on the board. This and an Olaf and say go. And if they're in the market just to wheel because their hand sucks, then great. They just time walk themselves to do that. Sometimes they still do, yeah. They double blast Olaf. Just to doot on their flute. Fair. On this board, I think we do Teeth. I guess I don't need to get in for the 1, and then I can still play my extra Rabbit. And then I think I can actually ink this. I'm okay with it. So, having played with decks like this, and most of the decks that are really song heavy, is if you punish them by removing their creatures, like their onboard characters, and remove most of their songs, they just don't have a functional deck. Because it is just too expensive to do much beyond what what our opponent is doing now. And our opponent might just wheel here to blast us with the flute twice. And that's fine. They grab your swords. So their hand was grab your swords, wheel X. And that's fine. So they blast us, they draw 2. We get to play the Maleficent out. We could play the Maui. I think I'm just going to ink it unless we get something better here. Maleficent, Maleficent. I think I play out the Minnie Mouse as well. And then we just rabbit them here. We have an answer to like a big tink. Yeah, here goes the Whole New World. Okay. Whole New World is fine. Now we're in the world where we can like play the Ursula, and it is a very difficult card for them to remove. And we get to take initiative on the on this garbage, right? I don't think I'm in the market to like tuck their stuff. I think I'm just gonna play Ursula here. So we found a goat. The goat is very good. I don't think we need all of these Yzmas. I think we're just gonna quest with everything. And then we're gonna try to use these goats just to close out the game. I think they're just attacking different types of decks. Like the lantern versus the flute. If I didn't have a second one, I probably would have kept, but because we have a second Yzma, I don't think it's as necessary. I mean, Ursula is just like very good. Like on our turn, we can literally go to 13, 14, 15. And we can even, like, Maui some of this if we want. I think it's quest with this for sure. We want to keep them down a little bit. I'm debating whether or not it's the Cinderella or the Queen. Shift Queen is pretty rough. But they get to sing more songs with this. I think it's just the Queen. Likely they're going to have the Cinderella with the ability to interact with the board, but just don't think we need friends on the other side. I think I'd rather just play a goat and they concede. Okay. Normally I would say yes, Yzma is like insane against what they're wheeling, but I think because we have the Ursula, like Ursula is incredibly powerful. There's just like not many answers to it that are not 4-for-1s. And while we're doing that, it just gets to do other stuff. Yeah, I think the flute deck is better against control, whereas the like the lantern versions are more just consistent in general because they have sort of a cohesive game plan that doesn't have a bunch of like do nothing songs in their deck. But if you're facing against a lot of like Popsicle and things like that, just playing out guys, like playing out stuff to the board, doesn't necessarily allow you to win super well. Because if they be prepared you, your follow-up is wheel. Well, the wheel is not great, sort of on its own. Are we 8-3, I think? Yeah. No, we're 7-3 right now, right? I don't know. I'll have to double check. Yeah, I think the flute will eventually fall off, but I think it is a good deck against Be Prepared overall. Oh, it is 8-3. Okay. Okay, so we have a pretty good hand. We have an Olaf and a Mim already. I think we can just get rid of these three and then... Hey, end of one. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for the 26 months for the resub. You are just the GOAT. No lie. I think I can get rid of the first Yzma, given that we've got draw here. And I'm probably going to get rid of the teeth then, if we don't need it. Depends on what they ink, so I'll have to pay attention. Because then we can get the Olaf on 3 and then just draw 2 cards on turn 3 instead. Yeah, I think the flute deck does play a lot of... a lot less characters, so there's some draws that are like a lot less functional. We're against Popsicles, so I can afford to do that. And then we can play our Mim Snake here and say go. And then we'll use this for ink probably and draw 3, unless we draw... unless we draw like a Maleficent. Yeah, you can change it. You can set your background to whatever you want. You can even, if you have the Halloween background, you can set it to that too. If you have it, of course. Friends on the other side. Draw 2 cards. Attack with our snakes, say go. Yeah, you're not compelled to play the flavor of the month if you don't want. You have to go into your settings. We can check them out after this. I don't currently have the Patreon tier high enough to be able to get the other ones yet, but Noe is not super good against the snake. Like at all. I'm going to hold on to the Olaf to deal with Tremaines later if I can. The half and half is, this is my board, this is their board. It's interesting though. Yeah, I managed to sell, like in my extra stuff that I found recently, I managed to find, what was it? Oh, I got a cold foil of it because I found some boosties. And I shipped it immediately for, like $12 or something. Bye. I feel like I'm supposed to get rid of this Flower Sham before they draw too many cards. We can Diabolical it. Or just Dragonfire. I feel like the Dragonfire is better later. But if we Diabolical it, we're going to have to sing here. If we want to still add other stuff to the board. Guess we can do this first. That's kind of what I would want to do anyway. Alright, well I guess we don't have room for this Olaf in our life. Play around Maui a little bit here, since we have that as an option. I'm also using the Diabolicals because we have the snakes now and we may not later. You know, if our opponent B prepares and then plays something that we have to deal with. Having a think. I don't know who popularized this card in the deck, because it certainly wasn't me. But I'm here for it. Winnie this Pooh is just out here having a damn think. Do I want to let them ramp off of this? They haven't gotten any other ramp this game. I kind of don't, weirdly. How messed up is it for me to just blast it? Send it to the Shadow Realm? It's kind of rude, right? And I can just eat it next turn. I'll let him ramp once with it. It's probably better anyway. We can just untap our snake. I think that's probably better. I was considering bouncing Merlin, but like I don't think we need to here. Just do this. I'd rather play a ground Maui again than play into it. And then this way, like, they can't really quest with this for free because the Mim still threatens it. Play their popsicles. They're gonna get their one card with the Winnie the Pooh here. Winning the Pooh. Just having a think. Look at him just pondering. Sitting here. He's so thoughtful. Just bop it again, huh? Perhaps the Merlin as well. Now we can let the Maui us, I think. Just rabbit back. Draw a card, play the rabbit again. Draw a card, get rid of a Maui of our own, and say go. If they untap and B-prep me, that's fine. This card has drawn me like 5 cards already, so really care that much. Then we can follow up with some goats. Sure. That is acceptable. Ooh, goat and a Maleficent. I am here for it. Maleficent. Ooh, look at all these goats. Goat, Merlin, bin the Maui for ink, play the mini, say go. This makes Tremaine pretty bad. They're going to be incentivized to B-prep again if they've got it, which I think is fine if they do. Yep. Acceptable. I would very much like to have like an Ursula. I'm not sure that I love this line, but it does bait out another B-prep if they've got it, so maybe it's fine. That'd be 3 B-preps. Their hand is mostly uninkable, I think. Okay, there's a Tremaine. We have a Mim Fox that we can get the Merlin back. Or sorry, the goat. I think I'm gonna Dragonfire this. And then just bring the goat back to my hand. And then say go. We don't have a lot of free things to ink here, because like we can very easily just play this Maleficent, but we don't actually have to. We're still closing out the game pretty quickly. And if we can protect the one goat a little bit longer, I think that's fine. They play a Flabbersham to draw some cards. I can appreciate that. Ooh, and they play another Popsicle. So we'll have to deal with this most likely. They have the old Grammar Tala here. They could be holding a Judy to deal with the spellbook that we don't have, yeah. I'm not entirely sure that I care about the Flabbersham enough to be prepared it. Or use the Diabolical Scheme here. I could use the Maleficent on it. That would give us a second character in play as well. It's not that I mind if they draw some cards, but I don't want them to be, you know, lousy with them when we don't have a draw engine going of our own. Since we only really had the one rabbit this game, we abused the rabbit as much as we could, but without hitting more of our draw idiots, it's going to be rough to keep up with them if they get to Flabbersham a bunch. Do they have a Maleficent of their own, perhaps? Or maybe a Dragonfire? They have a big blue Hades. Fair enough. Ooh, here's a rabbit. I really want them to have this blue Hades in play. Now might be a good time for the diabolical scheme. We could sing it and play the goat. I kind of like that, actually. Gets them very close to being dead. They're also only really doing one spell a turn, which is not a particularly good way of winning the game. It's okay, right? But you can easily fall behind if you're only doing one thing a turn. Well, we have a 4 of a kind on a card that is not particularly useful right this moment. But it is unlikely that we're going to lose the game anytime soon, I suppose. So we'll make it work. We are very prepared. Another Flaversham. Yep. Do they have an answer for this Maleficent, I wonder? Because if they don't, they're pretty close to lost already here. Okay, that puts you to 17. I'm debating whether or not I sing the B-Prep here and then play the rabbit afterwards. Because we can play the rabbit and, in theory, anything that we draw outside of Ursula. Their board is kind of bad. I think I'm okay with this, actually. Gets them to 10 ink, so they've caught up to us, but we get the rabbit as a follow-up. Rabbit into Maleficent is fine. If they Tremaine us, we get to draw another card and then blow up their Tremaine. Yzma's good as well. I'm gonna play Maleficent in the Olaf here and say go. And then I'm considering even Yzming the Maleficent back into the deck. Probably just the Olaf back, but Gaston. Okay. Finds a card, something, hope it's good. How many goats if we use 3? 1, 2, 3. So we have one more goat in the deck. We will have to be conservative with it, make sure that it doesn't, that it isn't super vulnerable, because that's our biggest reach piece. A shifted Gaston. I love that. I love that. Dig deep. They have dug so deep. I don't really need to play these, and I don't need to ink them. Our opponent has to answer this now, or they're dead, so we'll let them be prepared, and then we have this as follow-up. They just raw run out of Maui. Okay. Thinking I'm just gonna play Rabbit here. And a Maleficent. And a Maleficent. And we'll get rid of this Teeth and Ambitions, and I will say go. So we're in a universe where it is double Teeth or be prepared or bust. I believe that they've only got one left for the B preps. Which they could have in hand. That is certainly possible. I don't think Gaston is it. Unless they've got an answer to one of them already. They could let it go and kill one as well. The Maui. So they did sing Let It Go, so they still have 5. Last card, Teeth and Ambition? Ooh, not quite. Alright, a good effort. Alright, let's refresh real quick here. See where we're at. So we're 8-3. Oh, we were 7-3 last round because we didn't win all of our sets. We've only won 2 so far. Because we played against Green Gray and we went 3-3. Which, honestly, the majority of the decks that we fought that we should have been favored in, I felt like we were. The red-purple, the red-orange, the red-blue, orange-gray. And then this matchup is kind of a crapshoot sometimes based on what they draw. Let's get the leaderboard real quick here. See where we're at. We're at 350, which gives us a reasonable step from the bottom, so we have a bit of room to play. Seems like level 9001 has been doing pretty well with the discard deck today. We can play a couple more games. Maybe one more set. I actually do think that the Ursulas feel okay. Alright, so we have some 1-drops. We don't need all these Mauis. Put the Yzma back in as well. Nice. So we drew a rabbit. This is a pretty good hand. See what Bannabill's on. Something with Rockstar Stitch, so probably Steel Song of some flavor. We'll play out one mini, probably not the Olaf though, but we will see. We may end up having to. I got Sad Beasts, so probably more of a mid-rangey Sheldon. Something probably where if they don't hit wheel, they still have an alternative mid-game plan. So I would suspect that there's like Surfer Stitches in here as well. They opt to shift. Are they just gonna wheel? So they opt to shift, they don't wheel, they do nothing. I see. I guess we just say go. I mean, if they hit wheel, they're probably just gonna do it here. Which is unfortunate that we drew the second B-prep. They didn't have it, but our hand is so bad. Like, big terrible. I don't even think playing the Olaf does anything for us. Honestly. They play a Simba, they Strength of the Raging Fire my Minnie Mouse. And then they wheel. Woof. Okay. Well, I suspect that that is going to be game for us then, unfortunately. because there's not much that we can do to claw out without all the Be Prepareds in our deck. That does set us very far behind. So you just have to play the rabbit here and stay go. Next turn we can, in theory, if the Stitch is still there, 2 of the rock stars are gone, so it's unlikely that they have another one, but they might. Okay. Is there any other card that I can name in your deck that you just have in your hand? I'm sure that we can find some. Ah, Strength of the Raging Fire, sure. Pretty good draw from our opponent then, I suppose. So we're never gonna be able to play this Maleficent, huh? I'm gonna Dragonfire here, but we are like incredibly far behind. They got another wheel. Oh my god, okay. Well, we ripped the Be Prepared, which is nice. They have lanterns as well. But we may just be dead on board before we even get to play it. They sure did. They already have 8. Is it just Merlin and, like, shoot something? Stitch or the Queen, I guess? I think it's just Cindy so that they can't shift onto it with the big one. They sure did hit the nuts, though. I mean, we could still be dead if they shift here and here, I suppose. Maybe they'll play out a bunch of stuff, not kill us, and then we can be prepared and try to claw back in with that, but if they also have wheel again, I guess we're just dead. Okay. Alright, I will play my 1 spell for the turn. I guess it's your turn now. Normally one of the problems with wheel is that it's really random, right? And you don't know what you're going to hit off of the wheel, because there's literally anything that you could hit. You could hit 3 wheels. Our opponent has been able to cast every single wheel without any real way for us to interact with it. So it's like, I don't know what to do here. We don't have a Be Prepared, and they have another wheel in hand, so I'll just let him have it. Better player than I suppose. Sometimes the Steel Song deck just gets to do 6 cards every turn. and then you lose. Such is life. Holy shit, we go first? Never seen that before. It's amazing. Is it good when you play first instead of second? Not sure. I have been told that it is favorable when you're playing first versus second. See what our opponent plays. Turn 1, we'll decide what we ink next turn. It's probably going to be the Olaf, and then we snake. Benja. Fine with getting rid of an Olaf for the snake here. Tinkerbell, and then they play a Bucky. Okay. I guess the meta has shifted online. There are stats for player advantage. I haven't seen the most recent ones, but that is something that Pavel's been keeping track of. Statistics, weak. I'll look at it in a minute. Ah, 2 Buckies. Excellent. It's very good for us. Very interactable. Guess we play another Maleficent since we're looking at discarding like 4 cards this turn. Let me see. Week 2. We've been Jaffard. I don't really want them to draw cards, but I don't know if we can really stop it. Jaffar's really annoying here. No, there are no decks that want to go second. So, average game, if you go first, is against all players over like 250,000 games is 55.94%. And the number is worse if you are participating with like a top 100. If there's any top 100 in there, it's 57.93. And then if it's 100 versus 100 top players, it's 58.75 for going first, which is pretty substantial. I guess I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna play a Maleficent. No, I don't care about the Jafar. Just let him draw. Could shoot it so that it has to kill itself to draw. Could just bin this. Just barf out our idiots. And then when they just play Sad Beast, then we'll be really sad. Because they just get to make us discard for free. I wish there was a way to interact with shit like this. And there just isn't. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, Eldergrath. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know what to do here. We can draw the thing that lets us kill the beast. That is not it. We can do this. Get the rabbit back. Also not it. You get to draw 2 cards. Week 2 only stats are even worse, actually, for going first or second. Because that was all games, so week 2 only games. If at least a top 100 player participated, it's 59.17%. Do I even keep this stupid rabbit? I guess. Basically doing anything other than going first is like fucking big sad. And doing anything other than like drawing the nut is also big sad. This is like the 4th time we played this same person today. It's getting exhausting. Like I would like other matchups and other players. I don't care about this matchup at all. I do not respect this matchup even a little bit. The problem is that we've only had 2 sets. Maybe there are cards that do that, but all they've printed are things that... There's nothing to interact with the board at all. There needs to be more cards that interact with wide fields. There's no reason that you should be able to play a card like this and have no way for your opponent to interact with it at all until at least turn 5. There is no interaction for this card in the entire game until turn 5. With a song, with this one specifically. Which, you can sing it, there are ways of cheating it out, Ariel or whatever, a little bit earlier. But there's only 2 colors that even have anything that can deal with a ward character like this. Period. It is just steel and then a little bit of red that can interact with it. So, if you just play a deck that's full of shit like this, you just lose. There's no way of dealing damage to stuff on the board at all. So there's no reason to not just flood the board with every deck. Like, the mid-range decks are just not as good as the non-mid-range decks at doing this because there's nothing to punish you. There's just no way to punish you at all from doing that. Like, just straight up. You can barf your shit out on the board, and then people will still bitch about Be Prepared. Right, it is exactly why it's hard to play without them, because if you don't have a way of interacting with, you know, Amber playing an entire deck of 1-drops and then just flooding out the board, if you don't have an interaction spell for it, which Be Prepared costs 7... 7. We were literally dead before we could be prepared against our opponent. We were dead on board the turn that we were able to play Be Prepared. We were at 16 or whatever our opponent had. We need more early stuff, I think. We drew a mini, that'll work. Oh, good. We're against fucking discard again. Excellent. I love that for us. I'm just not even going to play the Minnie Mouse. I will. I probably shouldn't because it doesn't do anything. It's the 6th time out of 12 games, so half of our opponents have just been this. I would like to fight anything else. I don't care. Oh, there's a Bucky. How excellent for us. Like, I want to just concede. It is just not even fun to play against. I don't know why they invested so hard in, like, a discard theme for one of the colors. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Hey, what's a really fun mechanic that players have always really enjoyed? Not playing the cards in their hand? Yeah, that one. It's awesome. It's a thrilling mechanic. Right up there with land destruction. Like, what can I do against this? Just fucking nothing. It's awesome. Here's a sad beast. Oh, discard 2 cards. Yeah, alright, sure. Alright, quest, Fox. Yeah, just play grab your sword. That's the solution. Big if true. We hit there, we quest here, I guess. They go. Like, just play our 5-drop grab your sword. Big true. Like, I don't understand how they... I guess if their only matchup is this deck, then yeah, I would play this too. If you could pick your matchups. Like, if they queue into Steel, how do they ever win the game? If you queue into... Even worse, if you queue into an opponent who has Wheel in their deck, how do you win the game? Like, this deck can't beat Wheel of Fortune. It can't beat draw 7 cards. It just dumpsters this shit, because they're like, oh, I guess I discard down to 1, draw 7. Hello? What the fuck? What am I missing here? Like, am I the fool? It is certainly possible that I'm the idiot here. We have to ink something. Ink a goat, I guess. There needs to be a card that can deal with early bullshit. Deal 3 damage for everything for 4. Uninkable. Done. Problem solved. Like, the problem literally solves itself. Whatever. Make me discard my 2 cards. Like, I don't know why there was not another way of dealing with stuff on the board. Like a go-wide board earlier. And I don't know why I didn't deal 3 damage to deal with all of this crap either. The problem is that it would likely be in red. And then, what? Sure. We've discarded our whole hand. Because every card that you've played this game has said discard 2 on it. We have been dad blasted to oblivion because of all these Buckies. Now find a way to close the game. Like, I don't respect this deck at all, and I don't think it should have been an archetype in this game either. This is the kind of deck that makes casual players, like, sorry, this kind of mechanic, like discard, makes casual players not want to play the game at all. Just straight up. They don't want to play. Because they'll play against a deck that makes them discard their hand, and then they don't get to play their goofies for 10,000 resources or whatever. And then they're just like, oh, so this game is garbage then. Cool. I don't get to participate, I don't get to play the game, so I don't want to play. Like, if you have a player who's given a starter deck, and they play against this, they will just flat concede. They will never come to another event in Paper ever again. I've queued into the same person 6 times. Not just the same deck. This same person has been the only opponent that I've fought this whole time. Like, it has just been this player over and over. So yes, there is more variety, but there's no variety in my opponent, even. That's brutal. You can go back and watch the video when I put it up. It has just been this person this whole time. Oh my god, I just don't fucking care. I'm just so bored of playing this. Hello. Fucking move on with my life. We're just done. I cannot play this shit anymore. I refuse to play against that deck again with this. So we're gonna talk for a minute. We might queue in again, but like, I am not getting any information that's new out of it. Yes, if you double Bucky me or you Bucky John, you get me. Sure. I've learned that. I don't need to practice it more. It teaches me nothing. Like, we can look at the deck and see what its matchups were. We have played against... No, not this one, this one. We have played against Green-Gray 8 fucking times today. Out of 14 games. This deck looks like shit, but I promise that it is not. If you match up against anything other than this deck, I'm sure that you'll be fine. Our opponent had a nut draw against Steel Song here. That happens sometimes. The rest of our games were good. And we're not even fully losing against this. But most of these games, if you watch them, were pretty handily just Bucky or Bucky John, which can't really beat steel decks, but they did do a number on what we were doing because all of our interaction in Teeth and Ambitions, the early minis, even the Dragonfires, just outside of Be Prepared, can't really deal with that because they all have ward. So I will just wait. I'm going to wait 2 full fucking minutes before I queue back in because I'm so tired of playing that. I would just like to test. I'm just trying to test. And I want to test against something else. I would like to test the mirror more, because that is what the cards are changed for. That's... maybe. Maybe that's true. For the amount of games that are being played all the time, I'm suspecting that they're just watching and queuing. That would be the only thing that makes any sense to me why they keep getting into me. Because if they're within a close enough band, they can consistently queue into you if they want. Because all they have to do is wait until I'm in this spot, and then they queue, and then I'm going to get matched with them. That is the only thing that would allow them to continually get there. As long as we wait, so that we're not just like queuing at the same time that they are. If they just click it immediately, we're in queue for a minute plus. So they have a big window to also queue. Maybe the discard deck is just the best deck. Who knows? Let's get rid of these 3. And a Maleficent. We can get rid of the goat too. Keep 1 for ink. The rest of this we'll get rid of. See if we can find a mini. Nice, we did. Look, we found a different player. It was that easy. We just wait a second. And again, if it was an interesting matchup, it would be different. But I don't really feel like it's that interesting because there's not that much play for us to be able to do there. Because it's either they hit their stuff or they don't. And if they do, they got us. It's like playing against a combo deck or a reanimator deck or whatever. They just like barf out their combo, and if it works, it works. It's another mill deck, but it's maybe a slightly different variation. I'm debating whether or not I run out this Mim. I think I do. I mean, it's the flavor of the day, right? Sometimes you just only run into the same deck. It is very difficult to test like this, but what are you gonna do? We will draw cards. We didn't draw what we needed. I guess we just run out of goat and say go. They inked a Daisy Duck, so we'll have to see what they play here. They also just inked a Jafar. I have no idea what they're going to play then. Maybe they shift their Flynn Rider and then sing a song. And they shift their Flynn Rider. I don't know what song for them to sing. Nothing. Okay, fair enough. We'll battle with those two. I'm just going to play another goat. And say go. And then my intention is next turn to Yzma if we still have it in hand. They found a Prince John. But it might be too slow. Weirdly. We could not Yzma and instead do Memory Play Goat. I think the Yzma on one of these is probably better though. Do we Yzma a goat? I think we do. Shuffle him back into the deck. So we can B prep if we get to untap and have it in hand. We can also just play Ursula too. And just try to kill them. So we can either discard 2 or discard 1. What's the plan for next turn? I should have taken the other one. I should have gotten rid of Be Prepared. If I do this and we don't draw an ink, we just die. So I guess I have to do this. Should have kept the goat. I'm upset. I am big upset. I'm so sick of playing against this deck. I cannot describe to you how fucking obnoxious it is. We drew a good card though, so it's fine. I just wish we had the goat in hand still, but we would have had to have inked it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, say go. We're at 15. We do have a rabbit in hand. Luckily, they're a little bit low on ink. You play Flynn Rider, sure. Into Captain Hook. Okay. Play this, draw a card. Draw 2 cards. Say go. We could have just played the goat this turn, but I think I'd rather wait. How does this worded? Either 2 cards or an action card. We have an action card. We could also just play Ursula. Leaves them dead on board. They have to attack into the rabbit. We'll hold the cards in hand in case they Lucifer us again, so we can try to get this goat. Ursula's going to be hard for them to get off the board without bouncing it. It's fine. It can ring its bell, I suppose. Double GYS doesn't do it. Get goated. Big goat action, if you will. Well, we've immediately queued into somebody, so my odds of it being the same opponent are pretty high. Well, we have many Minnie Mouse. We did draw the Merlin. It is the same opponent. We're going second again. This has been some rough testing today, like non-existent testing. Oh, they are on something different, potentially. Even better. Maybe we will get some testing in. Just mauled into the mauled. We have the rabbit. Hopefully they're on the RP mirror. They are on steel purple. Interesting. Oh, well, we have a teeth and ambitions, so that'll do just nicely here. That was a convenient draw for us, so that is a really tricky card. I would assume that they're going to be on Arthur then, if they're also on Pinocchio. Which we have an answer for in a couple of turns, but not anything particularly fast. The Prince, who never gives up, huh? I think we do this and say go. I would have liked to friends on the other side this turn, but I feel like we need to just get some ink down, and I didn't really want to ink some of that other stuff. Interesting. The Prince being able to sing friends on the other side is kind of cute. We don't have a super great answer for this. Oh god, okay. I think we gotta get rid of Maui. Okay, I feel like we have to play this Merlin. Rabbit? Maybe we get rid of friends on the other side then. We just hope that the rabbit draws me into an inkable. Because if we can get rid of the Prince and clean up the board, then it's fine. But if we can't get rid of, we'll do something about the Arthur. And Maui or the Dragonfire can deal with it if there's two bodyguards. We can also double attack into a Prince to kill it. Is another option if the Maui isn't available for us. But we need to deal with the Arthur in a timely manner. Tiana. Okay, so I think that the solution is we ink the goat. I think we play the Maui. The Maui hit here. Mim hit here. We have the Merlin quest, and then we say go. And we're going to probably be setting up for Be Prepared in a few turns. And then we've got the Dragonfire as well to sort of catch what they've got until then. Oh, they're just going to straight quest, huh? Luckily we have the Maui that can challenge the Tiana, unless they Fox Mimit, of course, which they have. They still quested with the Tiana, though. Tiana has resist 2. Okay, I think we're going to have to Dragonfire the Tiana. Because if they run out of cards, then our Be Prepared is useless anyway. So they drew a Spellbook. If they attack with this, what does Huntsman do? You can loot with it. Okay, I think we try to close the game in a race situation here. And the only way that we can do that is with Ursula. Because they'll go to 16. So they get to loot. Hopefully it's not something particularly threatening. It's a Prince. Prince is fine. Is Prince fine? Prince has resist 1. We can go boom, boom, boom. Play another Ursula. Boom, boom, boom. Jam another Ursula, draw a card. Can ink this. Say go. We have them on a 2-turn clock now. As long as this isn't a goat from our opponent here. How about another Ursula? Nice spellbook. So, against the spellbook, the Ursula felt great. Like, real good. Unsurprisingly. It did exactly what it was designed to do, which is race an opponent just trying to close out the game with spellbooks. Because it gives us a card, it puts them down on lore, and it gives you a 3 lore character. All of those things are great. We are against a new opponent, so we have no idea what they're playing. And get rid of these 2. We have a Maleficent to draw a card. And we have our friends on the other side. We're against Bannable again, but we're on the play this time instead of the draw. So we can have a little bit more ink, and we can maybe have some interaction with what they're doing, depending upon our draws, of course. We drew a goat. I think I can get rid of the Maui. Get Olaf here. I'm looking to ink this Olaf, so I don't think I play it. Which, if I was doing that, we could have kept the Maui, in retrospect. They opt to play Cindy. I doubt that they're going to quest a Stitch here. Hey, KO cards. Appreciate the follow. Alright, so we get rid of the Olaf. They can't shift this turn. So we can opt to play the Maleficent first. And then say go. And then we have an answer with this to an Ariel. And we can blast the Stitch or the Cindy as well. So we'll see what the Ariel finds. World's Greatest Criminal Mind. That's fine. I think we... Drew Dalu, appreciate the follow there as well. I think I do Teeth and Ambitions and Diabolical Scheme. And I take out the Ariel and I take out the Stitch. I'm just wondering what the best combination of doing that is. It's just really awkward the way that our hand is laid out. Okay, and then I say go, and then I get up Teeth and Ambitions over there because I played too fast. Rude. Big rude. So they have World's Greatest Criminal Mind. That was what they found off their Ariel, right? They play out a Simba. And then they quest. So we can quest with this. Play a Fox here. Get their Simba. Get rid of Olaf. And then as long as we're keeping up with Ink, that's good. I wish that we had these goats in play. It's possible that like the turn prior we should just play a goat, but if they shift here, it's really unfortunate. Beast, also not the best for us. I think we have to draw some cards. Oh goodness. Hey, Zero. Appreciate the follow. Okay, my new plan is just to play goats until we're bored of playing goats, I guess. Why would I ban Rashi? It even says you did it. I assume that that's Zero Skater, yeah? The one who's been bullying us. It was more than 4. We played against that deck 8 times. I think you played us 2 times earlier, too. It's been like 6 games or something. I was getting so sick of playing against it. You didn't even high roll the worst. We played against somebody randomly that did triple John. And then in the same turn, they bippity-boppity their Lucifer twice. They made us discard like 6 cards and they drew 15 or something. There's just like no interaction for that. I'm just trying to test the Ursula deck and I just keep running into what is effectively like a solitaire combo deck. Okay, so they did opt to wheel us, which is fine. I can't goat and kill the Ariel here, but I can Maui and kill the Beast, and I can kill the Cindy. We can get rid of the Minnie Mouse here. Yeah, leave for a few minutes, get banned. What are you gonna do? I think I bounce the goat and say go. Yeah, it's a solitaire deck, right? Like, if you don't hit Bucky or John, the deck is just filled with a bunch of medium idiots. But that's the deck, right? We've just been... The games where our opponents played out the... like the Bucky into John or Bucky lines, we've just been getting buried. And the ones where they didn't have that, like, we were very favored. So it just is what it is with those kind of decks sometimes. I'm debating whether or not I be prepared or I just blow these up. We don't have an answer to both of them, so I think we be prep this turn. So I think I get rid of the Minnie Mouse here. I'm considering if I Friends on the other side with the Maui first. I think I do. And then we quest here, and we be prepared. And then say go. Yeah, if you run it out, it's very hard for this deck to interact, because there just aren't any cards. There just aren't any cards at all, really. Yeah, if you're looking to try, you can go here, and they actually have a launcher for the client. that lets you download it directly and then save yourself a bit of hassle. So I could kill most of this with what we have in our hand. We could just deal with the Stitch and leave the other one, which I think I'm fine with. I'm just debating on whether or not I get rid of the Teeth and Ambitions or just this Maleficent Sorceress. I think the Maleficent Sorceress is fine. And we do this. And say go. I assume that the Steel Song decks sort of bully you a bit when you're playing the discard. Yeah, so it's a free client that you do just get all of the cards without needing to do anything. There's no... It's not like a for-pay type of situation. I think we Maleficent this one. And then I'm going to just sing Teeth and Ambitions on the other one. This. And then say go. One person made the whole thing. They make the whole kit and caboodle. It is just like a fan project. Yeah, it's a really good product. The server is entirely funded by Patreon. Except the Patreon itself is not for profit. Like any extra money that they have that doesn't go to server, cloud hosting, and whatever, we donate. Any of the Patreons, so if you see this little symbol here, that's how many months that they've been a patron. You get to just vote on where you want to send the money. I'm debating how I kill this Stitch. I'm thinking that I throw one of these Maleficents at it. So I think we bash here. I do this. And then we banish this villain to kill this Stitch. Right? And then I think I kill the Cindy. And I just play the goat. And then I ink Friends on the other side because I just don't think we need it. With the double rabbit, our hand is already awesome here. It's possible that I could keep it because we don't necessarily need the ink this turn, but we'll see what our opponent comes up with. At this point, we have enough ink that like the wheel isn't miserable for us, especially since we have 3 of our Be Prepared still in the deck, so if they go a little wide, we can catch up, which is not always an option. Doing a big think here. They didn't hit, it looks like, and then they play Tinkerbell, sure. We can only Maleficent one of them, so they can still sing if they want. I feel like we're supposed to dump the Tinkerbell then. And then just quest with these two. Quest with this, and say go. As opposed to playing rabbits. The rabbits are fine, but I don't think we would be prepared there if we found it anyway. They let the Storm Rage on and kill the goat, I suspect. Yeah, that's fine. So they get to draw 1 extra card, but then they can't sing with the aerial here, which is good for us. 3 of our goats are already gone, which is not the best. We'll have to deal with this sooner than later, ideally. Get rid of Rapunzel. And they play Queen. So I'd like to be prepared this if we can. I was intending on playing this rabbit, not the goat, but I guess it's fine. We do this, and then I guess we play out the Olaf, and then just say go. And then maybe we just kill them. Depends on what their draw is here. Like, obviously, Wheel would be very strong, but most of their like, Like a Cindy doesn't do anything here, right? Like some of their bigger cards, even another Stitch or Queen, kind of doesn't do much here. We don't just win if they deal with both Maleficents, but it does put us in a good spot. They could have gone a Rapunzel, which would probably be their best draw here. Strength of a Raging Fire is problematic. Kills the goat. They have to kill both of these. We can clean up the board, and then we still have the rabbit, so... we play Maui, we hit the queen. Yep, they concede. Okay. Well, we'll take it. We take that. Obviously, we can play the rabbit and do other stuff, but... so let me refresh it. I think that's our last game. We did manage to get 3 sets and gain another 30 points, so we can look at the leaderboard here too. So looking at the deck, we were 11-6, but the majority of our losses were to the same person, for the most part, on the ladder, who were kind of farming us a bit today with discard. But a lot of the other testing for the various decks, the Ursula felt really good. Even in the games that we did favorably with the against the mill deck, sorry, the discard deck rather, the Ursula still felt good there because it's just very difficult to deal with the 2/8 body, especially when it's draining them lore and that. There were a few games that we had where this was just a house. The purple-gray deck that we fought against, they played a spellbook and we just kept playing Ursulas until the game was over, and that felt great. So I would say that overall this deck against the field was pretty well positioned, though it does seem to have a rough matchup perhaps against discard. So I would say that this sort of spice doesn't necessarily fix that matchup, but it did make the red-purple one feel a lot better, I think, because we had another way of just like grinding out the game with the Ursula. So I'm probably going to give this one more time investment as well. But yeah, very cool deck, very sweet with the Ursula spice there. Looking at the leaderboard, we are now in 17th. We've climbed a bit more. We are 100 points, which is 10 sets above the 25th place, so looking pretty good there. And let me see if anybody else is on while we think about this here. I did recently finish up a deck tech for Popsicle. If you haven't gotten a chance to check that out, I will put that in the description here. I can link it in the chat as well, because it is kind of all over the place. Let me see, I put it here. Maybe I didn't. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, here. No, I haven't put it anywhere. What's wrong with me? Aha, I found it. Nice. So go ahead and check this out if you have not. Would mean a lot. And then it doesn't really look like anybody is even on right now. It is just me. So we'll just call it a day. But give that a follow. You can check this out on YouTube or you can find it here. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out. And I will see everybody next time. Oh, here's the deck list one more time as well. Just this. Yeah, thanks for hanging out.